I am going to welcome Dan to the stage. So Dan joined. Yeah,
wow.
intro.
I haven't rehearsed this part.
No. In 2021, overseeing teams building the control plane for Google Compute Engine. He also oversees this engineering site in Warsaw, and this is my first time here, and what an impressive site to be overseeing. He spent 9 years at Pure Storage before this, leading engineering and product teams. And before that, he was founder and CEO to CTO of several startups. He holds a PhD in computer science from ETH, and he's going to give us a glimpse into the exciting world of AI at cloud. So Dan, over to you.
Great, thank you so much, Alex. And thank you everyone for coming out today in such great numbers. It's a real pleasure to be here. So I'm gonna take 10, maybe 15 minutes of your time, like Alex said, just to give you a bit of a intro into the space, and also to talk a little about, I'll have to, of course, what Google specifically is doing here and all the cool stuff we're building. So this is a super exciting time, as I think probably all of you know. You might not be here otherwise. AI has been around for a while, and AI research has been around for a while, but it really sort of exploded into the public consciousness 12, 18 months ago when Chat GPT came about. And I think we'll be looking back at this moment in time and view it as important as some of the other major technological breakthroughs of the past. So there was the steam power in the 18th century. There was electricity in the 19th century. Information technology in the 20th century, primarily, of course, powered by the invention of the transistor, the internet, and then the World Wide Web, and now AI. And so we think we'll be looking back at this point in time, maybe in another 100 years or so, and view it as fundamental in terms of its impact as some of these other technologies. So Google has been at this for quite some time, and I think it's fair to say, I need to make this here a bit better. It's fair to say that we've not only have we been at it for a long time, we've probably also invested more in this space than just about anybody else. And a lot of what you see in large language models and Gen AI in general is really started with the publication of this famous Transformers paper in 2017, and of course came out of Google, and sort of introduced diffusion models, for the first time in a meaningful way. And so that was followed by a sequence of other innovations. BERT was next, which broke new ground in large language models. AlphaFold, which was basically the first model that successfully could predict the structure of all known proteins. Then we had a T5, which was a text-to-text transformer, also groundbreaking, pioneering technology. Lambda, which was basically a model for the first time that you could converse with. And that was followed by Palm. Palm was a 540 billion parameter model. That was the first time in sort of these got really large in terms of their footprint. And then last year, a BARD, which was a bit of a, maybe I should say it in those words, was a bit of a maybe response to Chat GPT, and was the first time as a conversational model that Google provided. And then, of course, more recently, Gemini, which sort of it's the culmination of all the work we've done so far in this space, and this for the first time natively multimodal, which means it can understand and combine things like text and voice and video and sound and whatnot, and reason about it as a collection. So I'd like to talk a bit about the impact of what these models will have in our opinion. This is just my personal favorites, and of course it's going to be a wide-ranging impact, but one of my favorites is this one. It's a teacher for every student, right? So we here in Poland and the Western world in general, we're very privileged in that we have great educational systems, but of course not everybody in the world has that same access to higher education or education in general. And we think AI will play a crucial role there. And even for us, right? So how often do you ask yourself, maybe you want to learn a new topic, you ask yourself, how cool would it be if I could talk to an expert on this topic? How much time would that save me, as opposed to having to go out and doing web searches and reading books and whatnot? So we think this will be very useful for us here as well. Another example would be a doctor for every patient. So again, very similar, just like with education, we here have great access to modern healthcare and very advanced healthcare. But again, most of the world, of course, isn't quite like that. And again, even for us, we think this could be or will be a really powerful technology. I just want to share sort of a quick anecdote with you, maybe to illustrate this a little. It's very personal. So my mother is 80 years old, and she last year came out with these skin rashes that were not life-threatening or anything like that, but terribly itchy and prevented her from sleeping and sort of really disturbing. And so what do you do when you have that sort of thing, right? You go see a doctor. And so she went to one and the second and the third. They all prescribed slightly different treatments. They all had one thing in common. None of them worked, right? And then I'm not making this up. This is actually true. Okay, so my dad goes to his dentist. His dentist happens to have a brother at the university professor who's a professor of dermatology. And so through that connection, he's like, yeah, maybe she could go and see my brother. They set this up. Lo and behold, she goes and sees that gentleman, takes one quick look, cancels all the previous treatments, little cream, a pill. 2 weeks later, all the rashes are gone. So just illustrates how important it is to get the diagnosis right. And so again, we think AI can play a huge role there for patients ourselves, but of course also for doctors and ultimately the pharma industry as well. And then lastly, a truly personal assistant. So again, there have been many attempts made at this. I don't know if people in the room, some of you might be old enough to remember Clippy from Microsoft, which was this terrible thing in Office that was trying to help you. So there have been a few of those, and again, none of them worked. But with AI, you're going to have an assistant that knows you, that knows your background, knows what you've interacted with in the past, et cetera, and can be for the first time truly useful. So those we think are going to be some of the highlights of what will come out of this. And then, of course, I believe we're firmly on the path towards general artificial intelligence. So this is where models can continuously learn as they go. Now, with all this excitement, it's of course super important to do this responsibly. And again, I think Google plays a very important role there. Governments can and have to play a very important role there. And again, we've been at the forefront for making this, making sure this technology gets built and used the right way. So let's take a quick look at some of the industries that are going to be most impacted by this. And of course, again, very, very broad impact. These are just some examples. So one would be software engineering. There's already about $1 billion market for these types of tools, and that's expected to grow to about $7 billion by 2032. So huge growth there. Legal is and will be using Gen AI for document generation, financial services, for things like fraud detection, asset management, and document processing. Education, we already talked about a little bit, so that this personalized education, individualized education, and also amplification of the materials there. Automotive, cars next year, 2025 cars on average will have 650 million lines of code in them. And so again, we think a lot of that can be assisted by AI. And then finally, medical, we touched on this already a little bit. So it's a great opportunity for really everyone in the chain, the patients, the healthcare providers, as well as the pharma industry. There's many more, but those are maybe some of the more impacted ones. Okay, so now you listen to this and you maybe ask yourself, this all sounds pretty cool, but how can I how can I participate here? Right? Maybe you're already an AI expert and but for those of you who aren't, what can Google do for me to leverage some of this goodness and sort of bring it into my work and what I'm trying to do? So this brings us to the Google Cloud AI platform, which I think you're going to hear more about. So I'll be pretty brief here today. This is just a quick intro. What makes Google unique in the world, again, is that we're the only company offering a complete stack, all the way from end-user applications like Gemini down to the silicon with our GPU and more importantly, TPU chips. I'll talk about those in a second. And our approach to this has always been to be as open as possible. So we're bringing in our partners. We're open sourcing a lot of our technology. So we like to think we're not only the most complete, but also the most open solution that's out there. And so I won't have time to go, today to go into many details. You hear a little more from some of the others later in the day, but I just want to highlight maybe a quick, again, personal favorites. So at the bottom of the stack, you have our infrastructure as a services layer. So this is really the sort of the frameworks and libraries that you need to build these applications. And these are the libraries that interface directly with the accelerator hardwares, the TPUs and GPUs. And of course, it also includes the basic infrastructure to run compute. So whether you want to use containers or do this with virtual machines on a compute engine, you have both of them at this layer. And then important to point out, so it's all built in our global infrastructure. We're present in 40 regions in the world with Google Cloud, and very happy to report Poland is one of them. So you can run it right here. So like I said earlier, we're in this unique position that we built the entire stack, and these TPUs are part of that. So the TPU stands for Tensor Processing Units, and these are custom designed accelerators that are specifically optimized for training and inference of large AI models. And we've been pushing these very aggressively. So there's another generation every 6 to 12 months, and you can see some of the gains over the previous generation in terms of training and inference performance. But maybe most importantly here, we made them scale to very large clusters and slices of tens of thousands of chips and larger. And so that's really important if you want to deal again with these largest of LLM models. And then similarly, of course, we're not only building our own technology, we also want to bring you the latest and greatest from NVIDIA. So whatever, so we can leverage their innovation, whatever they come up with, we want to bring to you as quickly as possible. And they're on a similar trajectory. This generation is 10 times faster in terms of networking bandwidth, so it can just move data around a lot faster. It's 3 times faster in training. And similarly to the TPUs, you can also bundle these together and build these very large clusters of tens of thousands of chips. Okay, so I'd like to dig a bit into Vertex to wrap this up. So Vertex is really everything you need to build these Gen AI type applications. And again, you're going to hear more about this later, but just a quick overview. So from solutions that provide specific capabilities to enable business results, to search and conversation, which is often the fastest way to build your own enterprise-ready search and chat applications, to the platform's integrated tool chain that lets you build your own machine learning applications. And then finally, the model garden, which offers a wide variety of different models of all sizes. And so this model garden is what I find particularly cool. So here you can find all the leading technologies and leading models that are out there and make them your own. There's over 100 in there from us, from Meta, from OpenAI, many of the open source models. And so you can find all the industry leading stuff here, like Palm and Llama and AutoML and Face Detector and Watermark Detector, text to video, you name it. It's all here just a click away. In particular, the foundation models are fascinating. So these are these large AI models that we've built and trained on vast corpuses of data. And so they can recognize and predict and generate words, images, video, etc., through a process called self-supervised learning. And then equally important, this is where the economics come in a little bit, you can take the output, the results of this, and using techniques like distillation to sort of shrink it down on a form factor and a configuration that fits the needs of your applications. So one of these applications we enable with these models is conversational AI. And again, it's going to be a bit more on this later. But just very brief, is a conversational AI is basically a type of AI that combines or can simulate human languages by essentially combining two different fields of AI. One is natural language processing, which is all about processing human language. And then the other are these Google's Gen AI type models. And so you combine these, and you can do that through Vertex, and you can come with a set of tools that let you easily build and deploy these very powerful chatbots that can also be customized to your needs and then integrated with the rest of your website or backend infrastructure. So for example, you can have them complete a transaction such as a booking or a payment, and we give you all the tools to make that really easy. And then last but not least, search. So this being a presentation about Google search had to show up at some point. And again, I think it's going to be a little more on this later, but Vertex basically gives you an out-of-the-box search engine offering that you can use to both improve your external or your public-facing web server or web presence, as well as your internet. So whether you want to improve the experience for your employees, or you just want to provide make it easier for your employees to find internal data, you can easily do that with this technology and meet your objectives while also maintaining all of these enterprise required security and compliance controls like access control, data privacy, data sovereignty, etc. Okay, so with this, I'm gonna wrap up. So in summary, we believe, and I think given you're here, you probably agree that AI, and in particular Gen AI, is going to be the most important tech revolution, certainly over the next 20 years, probably in our lifetime. We at Google have been at this for a long time. We've invested the most dollars of just about anyone else out there, and we have, as a result, a very powerful portfolio of technologies, all the way from the underlying infrastructure to end-user applications such as Gemini. And we let you harness all of this through our cloud, and we give you several options there. So, for example, you can come in and say, I just want to get a container or a virtual machine, and I'm going to load these libraries for TPUs and GPUs. I'm going to build my own AI/ML stack. Or you can use the power of Vertex and just layer on top of that and greatly simplify the task at hand this way. So either way, if you want to check this out, you're going to go to Vertex. So the URL is right there on the screen. The QR code will take you there. And that is all I have for today. There's going to be, like I said, a lot more of this in the next few hours. But hopefully this was a good or useful overview. And thank you very much.